Elizabeth Holmes faces a dozen felony counts for her role in the company that she thought, that she said, would change the world, Theranos, with the technology supposedly to perform an array of medical tests using a tiny blood sample from a finger prick. Investors put in $700 million. It made Holmes a multi-billionaire. Trouble is the technology didn't work, and now Holmes faces 20 years in prison. Now we know, though, how she may defend herself. Court documents, newly unsealed, appear to attempt to place the blame on Sonny Balwani, the former chief operating officer of Theranos and Holmes' ex-boyfriend. She says that he abused her for more than a decade, monitoring her calls, text messages, emails. There was physical abuse, restricting her sleep and insisting that any success she achieved was because of him. She couldn't possibly intentionally commit a crime, the argument goes, while under his spell. Balwani faces his own criminal trial next year. He, of course, denies all of this, calls the allegations deeply offensive and personally devastating. The thing is, some legal experts say this could work.
What it allows a defendant to do is to point at trial at the empty chair, to tell the jury that's the real bad guy here. It was all him, and have the jury find some sympathy with that story and acquit Elizabeth Holmes. Of course, at his trial, where you have a different jury trying the case, he could do the same thing to her.
One other thing this does is increases the likelihood that Elizabeth Holmes takes the stand herself in her own defense and to make those allegations stick. The defense says that that is likely. Of course, we won't see that until much later on. This trial expected to last into December. Guys?
Hey, Scott, I was reading up about that over the last couple of days, and people say, look, it's one thing to be able to use that defense to say this decision at this point was completely influenced by this situation. But to be able to say that over a number of years and years with every decision, with so many people who were around at that point, becomes a little more complicated. I guess it just gets down to the jury and who's listening.
It's extremely complicated. It's one of the reasons that jury selection, which starts today, is particularly crucial for both the prosecution and the defense, because she'll have to make the argument, again, if she goes this route, and we don't know that this is exactly what she'll do, but she'll have to make the argument that the things that she said, that she did on her own in representations to investors, were all the result of Sonny Balwani. So that's a tough thing to do with potentially a sophisticated jury from Silicon Valley over the course of a very long trial.
Are people allowed into the courtroom? Will reporters be there? Or with COVID, is this a different situation, too?
There are precautions for COVID, but people are being allowed into the courtroom. There'll also be an overflow room as well. So we'll be able to witness this over the next 13 weeks.
Hey, Scott, time flies. I don't know, you've had 5 different states that are the best place to do business since all this has been going on. So people believed with a drop of blood that you could do this. We've had 5 years of advances since then. We still can't do that. In the Cleveland Clinic got taken in, and some of these high-profile board members all got. What the hell happened where no one asked, what's the technology behind this, and why should we believe even that a portion of it was actually true? I don't get it.
Well, clearly they did believe it because people pumped $700 million into this company, and as you said,
some
very smart people and smart companies.
No one asked how does it work.
They probably didn't. They clearly didn't ask the right questions. And Joe, one of the things that a lot of people think is on trial here is the whole culture of Silicon Valley. Like they say, fake it till you make it. And there is no shortage of companies out here that have done well with that, raised a whole lot of money, and finally did make it. Theranos didn't have the goods, and they were also playing with people's lives, and that's what makes it a little bit different. And there's a lot of attention to this from the broader community in Silicon Valley. What is this going to say about that culture? Will it rein it in somewhat, or will it let the venture capitalists and the entrepreneurs run amok?